Hello, 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 and welcome back. It's been a while. I think the last time I made a video, we were talking about Love Island. Don't worry, we're not going to talk about Love Island tonight, even though there are a few folk who are winning, but that's a story for another day. Tonight, I just wanted to talk about a few different things that I saw floating around on the internet, and I said, why not? Let's have a conversation, okay? Listen, before I get into the stories that we are going to chat a little bit about, have you been watching Suddenly Amish on TLC? I said I was going to give up these TLC shows. That was a lie, okay? Suddenly Amish, this isn't a full review, but if you do want a full review, if you want to go a little deeper, you let me know and I can make that happen. Suddenly Amish is this show on TLC. It's a reality show, of course, because, that's what TLC does. And it's about a group of people who want to go and live in the Amish community. Usually it's the other way around. You know, the shows on TLC that we usually watch when it comes to the Amish community, the Amish are usually going on their Rumspringa. I think that's what it's called, right? A Rumspringa. I don't know why that term just cracks me up. But anyway, the Amish are going out on their little Rumspringa. I really hope that's how you pronounce it. And they're going out into the English world. The English world is anything that is not Amish. Those are the shows that we are used to watching. Now, this is the flip side of that, okay? You got a group of folk who said, it's too much that's going on in my life, and I think the Amish is a better way. I think the way they live, the Amish community, I think that is a better way. So you have, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know all their names or anything because it's not a show that I watch closely, but it is one that I caught recently. And I'm just like, this is something. This is something. You have Kendra, I do remember her name. She is a professional dancer, and essentially she is working on a path of forgiveness, of self-forgiveness and feeling differently about herself. She had mentioned having a past and being on what's the site? Only am I allowed to say that site? She had a OF page. Is that what it's called? Yeah, okay. She had one of those pages and she, was out there in the world, okay? And she said that does not align with who she actually is or her value system. And it has been something that is it's been bothersome for her. Then we have Judah. Judah is in his early 20s. I believe his name is Judah. He is in his early 20s. He's a short king, okay? And the reason why I bring that up is because, and he's black. I think that is important to note, okay? Because when we think of the Amish, we don't typically think of folk who look like Judah. We just gonna call it what it is, all right? But nonetheless, Judah said, look, he is tired of his environment. He was talking a lot about his community, and he never really felt a sense of belonging in his community. And so he thinks that maybe he can experience that sense of belonging with the Amish. When he arrives and they start doing the work around the land and all of that, Judah is struggling. And he said that he was like, look, I don't really be doing this. Homeboy is into his fashion and all that. You should have, if you have not watched this show, the way he pulled up to that freaking farm, the way he pulled up to that land is hilarious. A1. He also is hiding this secret. He's bisexual, and he was going to. I'm jumping ahead. I'm jumping all around. This is not a comprehensive recap or review, so just bear with me. He is bisexual, and he was going to reveal his sexuality to the Amish. However, as he was debating on doing so, and he was getting closer to telling his secret, this is how he terms it on the show. This is his secret. One of the English folk, they got kicked off the land. I mean, They literally chased off the land by this guy named James. James is one of the Amish. James and Emma, they are cousins. They are working with the bishop of the church to bring more folk into the community so that they can build up the population, because at this point, so many of them are related. Hence why they are looking for people to bring into their community and into their church so that they can ultimately replenish the population. Now, James is known for being a little bit of a rebel. He was not banished. I can't think of the word right now. I think he was shunned for a period of time because homeboy had a phone, okay? He was doing stuff that he wasn't supposed to do. So now this is his way of trying to get back into the church, of trying to get good with some folk. James, however, runs a strict program. Even though he's a rebel, he said, I got to be careful who I let up in my community. I don't want to be responsible for bringing evil. He said something to that effect. Now, he chased Aaron off the land with, I think he had an axe in his hand. And he's like, you got to go. You want to know why? You want to know why? Guess. Because Aaron is divorced. And when James found out that Aaron was this divorced male, he was like, why are you even here? You can't remarry. Once you are married, you are with that person forever. And you are not allowed to remarry unless the person dies. So he said, I don't know why you're here. Get. And then he's like, he should have told us. So when Judah saw that, Judah was like, nah, I can't reveal my secret. If they kicking somebody off the land with an axe for being freaking divorced, what they gonna do to me if they find out I'm bisexual? So Judah was like, nah. Not doing that, not today. So he was like, we just gonna hold off. So poor Judah, he's still trying to help out, on the land and help with the task. But homeboy struggling. He afraid of the animals. He going through it. Okay, he is going through it. And then they had Esmeralda. Esmeralda, she likes her nails, her lashes, and she does not want to give those things up. The first day there, excuse me, they told her, hey, you got to remove that stuff. We dress very modestly. You have to remove all that. And she was like, no, I can't. I cannot. And they ended up compromising with her. And some of the people, some of the Amish folk were surprised about the compromise because they're like, no, this would never fly. We couldn't get away with this. But they compromised. She said, give me a few days. So then a few days goes by. Now they're dressing the English women up in traditional Amish clothing. And they said, okay, if you want to put on these clothes, you have to remove that stuff. And she was like, I don't understand. Why are you trying to make me into something I'm not? This is who I am. And she was going through it. And you could tell, on a more serious note, she probably has a lot of issues with insecurity. I think she uses the makeup and the lashes and the nails to feel a bit better about herself. And if memory serves correctly, she mentioned something to that effect. But also, I'm watching this and I'm like, ma'am, you literally came to a place where they want you to conform. Part of being a member of the church and a member of this community is to conform. This is why they dress the same. This is why they don't allow you to have mirrors. This is why and I know there might be certain reasons for each, but I'm saying they want you to conform to their way of thinking and living and to their beliefs. You knew this. You knew that their way of living was going to be different from yours. So why are you so surprised? That's like Kendra. The first day Kendra showed up, homegirl had on this little dress and everybody was like, why would you wear that? And she got really emotional because the bishop pulled her aside and was talking to her. And he was like, you wouldn't be allowed into some of these folk houses. They wouldn't even want you around their husbands or their sons because this is temptation for them. Now, of course, that's not really her fault. Okay, if it's temptation, that's on them to get it together. Okay, we're not gonna blame her for what she's wearing, but I digress. That's another conversation for another day, or maybe it's not, but it is because I said I'm not gonna do a full deep dive. She said, she was hoping that she wouldn't be judged. She's so used to being judged, and she's coming here. It's almost as if she is looking at this experience to maybe redeem herself. And so she was really hurt by the comments that the bishop was making. And then we have two more folk who I cannot remember their names. I think Bo might be one of them. Bo is hilarious. I really hope her name's Bo, but she's hilarious to me. Okay. She already dresses up as if she is Amish. In her normal life, she does, and she does it intentionally. So she is excited about this experience. She is willing to do whatever. The most recent, not whatever like that, but she is willing to conform. She is going with the flow, I think, a bit more than some of the other people, specifically the women. But in general, I think she might be one of the main ones who's just able to go with the flow a little bit more because she had already started kind of, living how the Amish would live. And on the most recent episode, Homegirl had a date. She has not dated in years and years and years. And she had a date. She had a date with somebody who had, a typical, what they described as a typical Amish haircut. It was a bowl cut. Child, that date was something interesting.
Blue too?
No, I had no idea.
Blue is my favorite color.
Okay.
Okay.
He was a bit of a rebel. He's a bit of a bad boy. He had, I think, some piercings and tattoos, and he had the piercings in particular places, but he wouldn't really talk. She would ask questions and yeah, yeah. It's like, okay, sir, you got to get to know her.
I really want to be Amish, but I'm like wild and free. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I have a tattoo.
Okay.
And then there's another gentleman, I cannot remember his name right now. He is having a really difficult time. He has partial hearing loss, and his hearing aid was connected to his phone via Bluetooth. They took all of the Amish James in particular took all of their devices. And he said, well, I need this for my hearing aid. And they were like, no, you can't have this. You can't have this technology. So then he had a secret phone, but then James found this phone, took it away. So he's saying, look, when I don't have my hearing aid, it's difficult to feel like I'm being part of the conversation. It sounds as if everything is muffled and underwater. And he's like, it takes so much concentration to be able to figure out what the folk are saying, what the people are saying. On this most recent episode, James had brought him a hearing aid. I thought the gesture was really kind. However, or a device. He thought the gesture, he was appreciative of James's gesture. However, he says, look, I'm going to have to get adjusted to this. My brain is going to have to adjust. This is not going to work. And so he wants to use his items. Do you think he should be allowed to use his hearing aid, his phone, so that he can use his hearing aid? I sure do. That's part of his quality of life, okay? And so that's a brief overview of Suddenly Amish. There are some more things that we could talk about. Like I said, if you're interested, perhaps we can maybe review another episode or do a deeper dive. You let me know. But speaking of community and family, that leads me into my next story. Have you all heard what's been going on with Glorilla and her family? Let's take a listen.
Man, I'm talking about y'all favorite rapper. Y'all favorite rapper ain't shit. And I'm getting tired of it. Y'all mad. Fuck. Y'all talking about some she ain't obligated. How the fuck she ain't obligated when she want to sit here and all them interviews and talk about the struggles we've been through and then reach back and help none of us out. But got her friends around and shit. And my mama still working at FedEx. Y'all better get the fuck out of my face.
Essentially, Glow's sister is like, oh, y'all favorite rapper? She don't even help her. She don't help her family. She don't even help her mother. Our mother still works at FedEx. And when I heard this, I'm like, okay, I know a lot of people are going to probably disagree with this, and it is what it is. You get to have your thoughts and opinions, and I get to have mine. People are not entitled to what you have, family or otherwise. mother, father, sister, brother, niece, nephew, whoever. They're not entitled to what you have. So even though Glow is this famous rapper and she's probably making more money than she's made in her lifetime so far, and that's part of what the sister says. She's like, you tell us stories about our struggle, but you're not helping. I'm paraphrasing here. Even if that is the case, she is not entitled. She does not, she is not obligated to have to give folk money. Now, depending on the relationship she has with her family, she might want to. If I hit a listen, if I don't even have nearly as much as Glow, but I want to do what I want to do for my mom because that's my mom and I love her. However, if we had a different kind of relationship, I might not. And I don't have to just because she's my mother. And so I don't know the ins and outs of their relationship, and I'm not going to pretend to. I'm talking about this in a general context. You are not obligated to go above and beyond for people. And then when her sister said, their mother still works at FedEx, why is that a bad thing? Her mom is still employed, gainfully employed. Her mother is independent. Her mother doesn't have to depend on somebody else to pay all of her bills. Now, it does sound like that the mom may have hit a rough patch from time to time and things in life happen. And yet that's not a terrible thing that she still has a job. So what, everybody want to be able to quit their jobs and live off one person? That's not okay. And so maybe that's on the extreme. Maybe the thought process is, well, no, we don't all need to live off of her, but she could help out. Sure, Glow could help if she wants to. She's negotiating, working with her team to negotiate contracts. She's showing up for work. She's an entertainer, yes, but that is her job. And so again, if she wanted to, sure. Is it kind to help people? Yes, but I'm not obligated. Right? Glow isn't obligated to do that. And I know this is going to strike a nerve in some folk. That's my mama. I don't care what's going on. I'm going to help my mama. Then you do that, beloved. But everybody is not obligated. Folk are not entitled to what you have just because of the title. Do we have a healthy relationship? Again, I don't know what the ins and outs are about about their relationship dynamic, or about Glow's relationship dynamic with her mother. I don't know. Maybe they're not close. But what did happen was I saw, and I don't think I put it up here. I did see this text message allegedly that Glow received from her mother. And the text message says, "Thank you so very, very much. Really didn't want to ask because you already do so much for us. I thank you so very much for all that you do. I don't take it for granted at all. I really do love and appreciate you so very much. God bless you for your honor, respect, kindness, and love shown to me. You're such a blessing to me. When I become a millionaire, I got you. Meanwhile, I'll prayerfully keep you in God's hands continually." So Glow's sister was like, stop that. What's the date on that text message that you allegedly got from mommy? I'm paraphrasing. But she's like, hold up, what's the date on those messages? And she said, our mother don't even talk like that. So now there is some discrepancy on whether or not the mother actually sent those text messages to Glorilla. Listen, do we want to help those who helped us and who sacrificed and who was there for us? Sure. But again, depending on what the relationship dynamic is, we might not want to do those things for some people. And that's okay. And that's a tough call to make. But it is okay to make that call if that call is safer for you. Now, again, this isn't directly related to Glow because I don't know their full story. And like I said before, I won't pretend to know. But I do think it was interesting, the text that came out that, alleging that this is what the mom had sent, and the sisters saying the sisters disagreeing with it. Perhaps there was a time where Glow was giving money to the family, and maybe for whatever reason she wanted to take a step back from it. I don't know. But we are allowed to change our minds. We are allowed to have boundaries. And so that is important to remember. What are your thoughts? You agree, disagree? Are you like, you don't care what the situation is, you are gonna give that money to your mama? And maybe she's not at the place to retire her mother yet. That's also a possibility. Maybe she would want to retire her mom so her mom doesn't have to work anymore, but maybe she's not there just yet. That's also okay. Things take time. So that's also important to remember too. This is why we can't count other people's coins, because we don't necessarily know what the full game plan is, right? We don't have all the information. We don't know the full picture. So just some things to think about, but you let me know. Speaking of boundaries and family and all the things, you at this point you have probably heard this viral clip of Keke Palmer on the Today Show, and they were talking to her about moving in with her next partner, and Keke stopped them and said, "That's not happening. I never want to do that again. Okay. I never want to do that again." And so then they stopped. They were like, "Wait a minute, Keke, are you serious?" And she said, "Absolutely. I never want to live with a partner again." And let me tell you something. I lived with a partner before, and I have lived solo before. And I like living solo. Now, to be fair, when I lived with my partner, my former partner, I did enjoy it. For the most part, I enjoyed it. However, there were times where I was like, damn, I want to be by myself. I just want to be in the space, in the home by myself, not in a separate room, but just by myself. And at this point, I think we were both working from home. And so I'm like, oh my goodness. And we had a good vibe, a good flow, all that stuff. But you have those moments sometimes where you just want to be alone. And I have been thinking about this recently. Would I want to live with a partner again? I don't know. I don't know, because when you have your own space, you really can just live how you want to live. What colors do you want to have around you? What scents do you want to smell? Okay, how do you want to get the toothpaste out of You get to make all those decisions. You don't have to compromise. And sometimes we don't want to compromise. Sometimes we want things the way we want things. So I don't actually disagree with Keke. I can see the benefit in not living in the same house with your partner. Or if your house is big enough, maybe you have separate wings completely. But I mean, it has to be big enough, okay, for actual wings. This is the east wing and the west wing and what have you. Otherwise, I'd be okay with two houses right next to each other, or even around the corner. I think that's what Keke was saying too. And people are like, oh no, because if we are married, we got to be together. We got to live under the same roof. No, you don't. No, you don't. Cheryl Lee, like I know her. Cheryl, hey girl. Cheryl Lee Ralph. She and her husband, they don't even live in the same state. They see each other. When they see each other, they schedule those visits and they rocking and rolling. Now, as long as they have a healthy relationship and all of that, I'm here for it. I am here for it. I think it's important to remember that we don't have to do things just because. We don't have to do them in a particular way just because that's how it's always been done. This is how the folk have always done it. We get to look at what would make the most sense for what we have going on. And sometimes what would make the most sense is that we have two different houses. That way, how I keep the bathroom is how I keep it, and how you keep it is how you keep it. Okay? That way, I know where the things are in the kitchen, because certain things belong in a particular place. And some things I might not care about that you care about. I don't want to start telling on myself, but I'm not totally against it. Now, am I saying that I absolutely will not live with my partner? No, I'm not saying that. However, if maybe the opportunity presented itself for there to be a separate space, I'd take it. So what do you think? Do you have to live in the same home as your partner? And does it matter if you are married versus in a long term committed relationship? Does that also make a difference? I'm so curious to hear what your thoughts are. So I listen, like I said, I know some people are like, no, that's the first sign of trouble if y'all don't live together. And in my mind, I'm like, but if we trust each other, okay, I'm not going to keep talking about it, but I'm just saying, if we trust each other, what is the big deal? What is the big deal? And then those moments where y'all get together under one roof, it's a time is to be had. But we'll see. So let me know what your thoughts are because I want to hear them. Last up, we have DaBrat. Listen, did you know that DaBrat was approached for the Real Housewives of Atlanta? Could you imagine DaBrat on that franchise? Her and Judy, her and her wife. I can see her wife as part of that franchise, but not Brat. I feel like those women on that show would start talking, and trying to talk slick or whatever. And she would just, she ain't going for it. I don't see that. And apparently she does not see that for her either because she mentioned that she said, look, they would try and try you. And I can't have them try and try me because you try me, I'm going to try you. No, she didn't say it. I'm paraphrasing here. You can pause and read the statement on the screen. Essentially, she said, look, she is not doing the show. Quote, I just didn't want to be that person because I feel like they know my temper is pretty short and they're definitely going to try me. Okay. And so you got to know your limits. You got to know when something is not for you because you could be putting yourself in a situation that's going to lead to something disastrous, okay? So kudos to her for recognizing that this would not be for her. But it is funny to think about, like Brat on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And now that I think about it, I kind of want to see it. No, maybe not. Okay, listen, that's all I have for you today. I am so glad that you decided to hang out with me just for a little bit, and I certainly hope that you come back for the next one. If there are any shows that you want me, shows, movies, documentaries that you want me to review, recap, do a deep dive on, let me know in those comments. And that's all I got for now. Until next time, see you later.